welcome to the Turns Out podcast. I'm your host, Julian Camacho, aka Jules, and with me is the formidable and arguably unstoppable Alonso Aliaguilla, my dear friend. How are you, buddy?
Very good. I am surprised you pronounced that. Did you practice that before doing this? Or?
I was actually in front of the mirror last night for at least...
Just saying my last name over and over?
For like 3 hours. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Training. And then
I used to do that when I was a kid. Like, I had to learn my own last name. It's pretty crazy, but...
This is a very sad story.
My childhood was pretty rough.
I can imagine. I mean, you know, people like having to repeat your name 3 times with like 3 different incorrect pronunciations. Yep. I know that's like, bro. You know, I'm Hispanic too, and I don't have a weird last name, but there was a discrepancy with my first name. People didn't know to call me Julian, which is my real name, and so it'd be like, you know, I would compromise at first, so just call me Julian, you know, but then like that was weird, like William, no, Julio, no, you know what, just
call me J. Just use the first letter.
No, I go, just call me Julian. And even then, they still kind of fucked it up a little bit because it's kind of a rare name. And I'm like, are you serious? You know, Bob Marley has a kid named Julian. John Lennon has a kid named Julian. I think Julia Roberts has a kid named Julian.
Even I didn't know any of those things, though.
Peter Frampton's got a kid named Julian. Like
Peter Frampton.
I actually went to high school with that kid. But look, the point is that the reason why I call myself Jules is to take it back. Because I'm not going to let the white man label me Julian when my real name is Julian. So I'm going to go ahead and, you know, also it's quicker when you're on set. It's like, Jules, get the 4x3, whatever. You know, so it'll be quick. But anyway.
Well, we both have had problems with our names. So.
Yeah. But you know what I did to learn your name? I went through a rigorous obstacle course in, like, different temperatures. So, like, I'd be in the freezer repeating your name. Then I'd, like, put the temperature up, like, or open up the oven, get really close to it. Like
once again, all things I had to do as a child to learn my own last name. Yes,
I'm beginning to understand. I had to do it with a tightrope with blindfolds, balancing 2 pails of water on each arm. You know, it was tough, but I got it, and now it's smooth like molasses.
I'm very happy for you, Julian.
I'm happy for me too, bro. So let's get this thing started. This is a special podcast episode where we predict the Oscars. And I think I'm in good company here because I think Alonso's seen as many movies as I have this year.
Yes.
More on the tail end. I had to do a little afterwards when it came to Blu-ray or what have you. But either way, let's get things started with the lesser, not lesser awards, but awards with less notoriety.
Correct. That is a very PC way of putting it.
Well, it's because I don't give a shit about them, so I try.
Yeah, you don't want to hurt the little people. I understand.
Right.
Makes sense.
You know, not that they're listening to this, not that I saw their stuff. So anyway, So best short film, live action. Didn't see anything, so I'm gonna go with my.
This is the part where we basically go with what has the coolest name, or you know, just what we feel is gonna win based off of its name, because nobody's seen this. Let's be honest.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go with Time Freak because that was my breakdancing name in high school. And what are you gonna go with, Alonso?
I don't know. I'm liking Time Freak, but I'm gonna go with The Shore.
The Shore, okay.
It's like Jersey? A very definitive. Yeah, maybe because of Jersey Shore. But there's probably some influence in there. I don't know, some subconscious thing going. But yeah, I'm going with The Shore, definitely.
Okay, that's actually my reasoning for not electing The Shore because of my association with Jersey. That works out great. Okay, so best short film. We got, I think we should go down the list, actually, before we just quickly pick one. There's Dimanche, 2011, by Patrick Doyen. There's The Fantastic Flying Books of Mr. Morris Lesmore.
Wait, no, we're doing best short film live action, right?
No, this is best short film animated. We just went over the best short film live action.
Oh, okay, but you didn't read them down. Do you want to read those down? Or?
All right, fine. Pentecost, Raju, The Shore, Time Freak, and Tuba Atlantic, which actually is my second pick based on name only.
Yes.
All right, so best short film animated, Dimanche, The Fantastic Flying Books of Mr. Morris Lesmore.
That one already won. We don't even have to watch the Oscars. Look at that name. The Fantastic Flying Books of Mr. Morris Lesmore.
It's just like when you're doing Scantron tests or multiple choice tests in school. One of the hints outside of other than like picking the middle ones like C or B.
Yeah.
They always tell you the longest answer is usually the most accurate, most specific, and therefore most likely the most correct.
Yep.
So, I'm gonna go with that one as well. The other ones are La Luna, A Morning Stroll, and Wildlife. So yeah,
you realize that us picking these these movies and never having seen any of them does nothing for our audience, but we're just
I disagree, because I think they're in the same boat that I am, and I think everyone feels kind of guilty when like not watching any of these, and we're here to say, guys, don't worry about it. All right, no one saw any of these movies, and I bet you a good chunk of the Academy never saw them either, and are going by the same rationale that we are.
Yeah.
So in a way, that's more
I mean,
accurate.
technically, it's not our fault. I mean, we just have to try, because technically, the Oscars, I feel, could do, more of an effort to promote these films. Maybe have a little website going, a little YouTube channel to have these films, or even a link just to buy them.
Anything.
Really, when do you ever get a chance to watch this?
Never.
Where do you watch this?
Never.
I don't know where to see a best animated short film.
That's the worst thing about it. I've never seen it, and I never know where to see it. But
yeah,
it's a whole racket, I'm sure. Either way, if there is money riding on some of these predictions, which I know for a fact that people do, it's important to actually go into the mindset of the voter. And it's my contention that, like I said, a good chunk of the Academy never actually watched these things. So it's really, in fact, I would say don't see them, because they might make you bias.
Yes.
Actually pick the movies that you thought were actually superior. In fact, instead of picking the movies that might actually win based on title alone.
Yeah, so, somewhere in Las Vegas, Charles Barkley has his money on the Fantastic Flying Books of Mr. Morris Lesmore.
Well,
I mean, we all know this.
I don't know anything about sports, but I'm assuming that
he's
guy
a compulsive gambler.
Yes. I was going to say that. So that guy's like a referee, right? That guy's the owner? No?
No, Charles Barkley is probably one of the greatest players of all time. You don't know Charles Barkley?
Yeah, it's football, right? So all right. So best documentary short subject. All right. So we have The Barber of Birmingham, Foot Soldier of the Civil Rights.
Which is the longest title there, and by default, we could go for that one.
Let me go down the list, and I'll explain exactly why to go or not to go with certain. Oh wait, I didn't even finish the title. The Barber of Birmingham, Foot Soldier of the Civil Rights Movement, which is weird because it has two things to vote for. God is the Bigger Elvis.
True.
Incident in New Baghdad, Saving Grace, The Tsunami, and The Cherry Blossom. So I'm actually... See, my favorite title here is God is the Bigger Elvis. And that's kind of where my heart is at.
That is cool.
But
I'm just wondering about Incident in New Baghdad. Is there...
That's the one I'm going to go with. Because it's the political...
Where is New Baghdad?
That's actually in Hialeah. You didn't know that? Yeah. That's there. I'm not sure, but like I said earlier off air... Running off the Hurt Locker momentum, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna vote for Incident in New Baghdad. It just sounds important. Incident in New Baghdad. I'm
going with The Tsunami and The Cherry Blossom.
That is exactly my second pick, and I wouldn't be surprised if that one wins. For some reason, the Barber of Birmingham, Foot Soldier, Civil Rights Movement. Even though that's the longer title, and usually I would go with that. It looks pretty. A soldier for civil rights movement, I would assume that this is actually.
Yeah, the thing is, we've already seen a good amount. I mean, I think the civil rights movement, as far as film goes, like it's maybe exhausted.
It's kind of like the Holocaust, where it's obviously worthy of telling stories, and there's plenty more stories left to be told, I'm sure. But as far as things to see on screen, you got some fatigue there, and also with the help, people are going to start, I think, scratching their heads if there's too much, what have you. But either way, I'm going to make it a point.
Yeah, that's not racist, Julian.
I'm not saying I'm racist. I'm saying I'm accusing the Oscars of being racist, and whenever they do these like political, like, like having Halle Berry and Denzel winning the same year, or whatever. That was because they're racist, because they were overcompensating.
But I have to put a side note in there. What I always loved about when Denzel won for Training Day,
that he deserved it for Malcolm X and their Hurricane.
Oh no, he deserved it for a lot of things. And mind you, that's that. I'm not the biggest Denzel Washington fan, but
what? You're racist.
It's
you're the racist.
It's hard to not respect his talent. The guy just oozes with talent. But what I liked about when he actually won was that he never really brought up the fact that he's an African American or anything like that.
Exactly.
Because here's the thing. Yeah. I don't technically have a problem with someone bringing that up, but if you really want to be considered one of the, how people say, "Oh, this is one of my favorite actors," and then they also say, "Well, this is like my favorite black actor."
Exactly. Nobody wants that qualification.
In that black actor category. He wants to be in the best actor category.
Because the best way to maintain racism and to keep it alive is to insist on these qualifications and these little teams breakups. And and what did Halle Berry do? She got in her soapbox and I'm the first this, and now I can. And it's like, look, you're not breaking down any barriers here, it's like, it's just a huge blowhard, and exactly. Now I think that's actually going to pigeonhole her more as a black actress rather than an Oscar award-winning actress. And Denzel played it smart, and I respect him so much more for making that distinction by not mentioning it. I mean, I said this a million times before. The best way to get rid of racism is to get rid of race pride. And that's not a very popular notion, because everybody loves their parades and everybody wants to ultimately stick to their teams.
Like Morgan Freeman said, you can actually see it on YouTube. There's a clip of him actually talking about Black History Month, and he doesn't want there to be a Black History Month. He just feels that, it just kind of reminds people, and he just wished that, it was like a Black History year, if anything, and not really have to push for a specific month.
But 1977 already passed, so that really fair. No, actually, the thing about, well, first of all, the big joke here is that obviously February is the shortest month. Well, this year it's got a leap year, but it's still only 29 days. But it's just, it's...
I actually didn't know this year was a leap year.
It was a leap year, yeah. On the 29th, I'll wish everybody a very happy leap day. And I don't know if you watched 30 Rock, but they had a hilarious episode about this fictional holiday, which is only every 4 years. And it's like they have all these crazy traditions. Like everyone's got to wear blue and yellow, and you got to cry for the candy that the mascot for that holiday called Leap Dave Williams. And he's like this he's like this half aquatic hybrid, like from Waterworld. He's got gills, and he's a creepy old guy wearing like this kind of blue and yellow Uncle Sam kind of outfit. It's pretty hilarious. You should watch it.
I had actually thought of a plot a really long time ago about where basically people who were born on that
leap
day,
year, they age 4 times as slow. That'd be great.
Yeah, pretty much. If anybody wants to take that, you can go right ahead.
I think everyone at some point asked that question, and then they had the disappointing answers that they just do it on the 28th. But all right, so best documentary features. Here it gets a little more substantial. We got Hell and Back Again, If a Tree Falls, A Story of the Earth Liberation Front, Paradise Lost 3, Purgatory, Pina, and Undefeated.
Okay, so there is a part 3.
Right, yeah.
In this documentary category, Paradise Lost 3, Purgatory.
And then Paradise Rises. No, I really... I never even heard of Paradise Lost as a documentary. I'm actually really looking forward to the film Paradise Lost, which I think comes out next year. But I've never. It's funny. It's funny seeing sequels for shit you never heard of.
Yeah.
But so weird. All right. So what's your vote?
I'm definitely going for If a Tree Falls, A Story of the Earth Liberation Front.
Okay.
I'm definitely going with that one.
Okay. The Liberation Front sounds like one of those hippie things, so I'm actually gonna vote against it. If a Tree Falls sounds like...
Yeah, but the Oscars are suckers for that, so...
Yes, but like I said, there's an overcompensation movement happening where people feel like they're known as suckers for hippies, so they're gonna purposely avoid what they actually want to vote for. And that's the genius behind my voting. I'm gonna go against the type that they're going to try to go against for. So it's like a counter measure.
That's like you have too much faith in humanity, Julian.
You have too little faith, and that's where we separate. So I'm going to go with Undefeated because it's my favorite title there, and it's triumphant. I think people want to smile again and raise their arms and hope and triumph. So I'm going to go with Undefeated.
But definitely, hopefully, whoever wins that category, Netflix will actually have it available because actually Netflix does very, very good with
you know what the Oscars
documentaries. Definitely.
You know what the Oscars should do for all these shorts, whether it's animated, documentary,
they
or
should
live
have a
action.
little Netflix category.
They should they should just have they should release a DVD with a collection of all these 3 different categories.
Exactly.
Why?
I don't understand.
Why aren't we running things?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Look, so all right, all right. So let's get into the stuff that I actually give a shit about. Best achievement in visual effects. We have Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. We have Hugo, Real Steel, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, and Transformers: Dark of the Moon. I'm not gonna finish that.
This is where the arguments start.
I believe.
What are you picking?
My money is on Hugo, but I don't go with that with ease because Rise of the Planet of the Apes has got complete snub this year. I think it's one of my favorite movies of the year, and I think it deserves it, especially for all the shit that Andy Serkis is not getting. You know, I think they might still go with the visual effects here. They could trump us, but don't underestimate the Harry Potter and how it's been. You know, angry fans all believe it also got a big snub, even though I think it's a super overrated franchise. And I think that
I have not seen one Harry Potter film.
Congratulations, dude! You just got on my list of really cool people. Nice. Now I gotta say,
congratulations, you've won.
You've won. No, You know the thing is, I wanted to like the Harry Potter movies, but it's just like they're all. It's a collection of fantasy cliches that I've seen all the references to, and so it's like been there, done. I've seen it done before, and I've seen it done better. So it's kind of hard, you know. It's really hard for me to really.
I just feel like if you're gonna go ahead and watch the movie, you have to have read the books, because if you're actually interested in wanting to see what it's all about, I mean, what does that say about us as a society? Where it's like, I'm not even gonna read the book. I'm just gonna jump straight into the movie.
Well, you know me. I'm actually against reading. I think it pollutes the mind. And actually, you know...
everything should just be in podcast form.
No, well, let me tell you this. I'm actually really into audiobooks, and I've been reading all the classics this way, like Dickens, T.S. Eliot, Fitzgerald, Hemingway. I'm getting into all those books through audiobooks, and... Yeah,
that's the lazy American way.
It's not the lazy American way. Let me tell you something.
But right? American nonetheless. So
listen,
I support it.
Listen, guy. I appreciate your backwards appreciation of it, but there's actually a difference here that I believe as humans we are sort of evolving in how we digest information, and with Americans everything coming in faster and the rise of ADD, I think it's all kind of connected. And me personally, I was not fostered in a reading culture. I wish I was. I wasn't. My parents are really visual. They're into painting, sculptures, art, photography, film, music. They're also really into music. So I ended up kind of becoming more of an audio learner, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing lazy or wrong with that. Some people couldn't keep up with an audio book.
I fall into that category. Definitely.
Oh well, then shut the hell up then. All right, so
I'm just saying these are all fancy excuses.
They're not fancy excuses.
Not reading.
But maybe it's a counter fancy excuse for not listening. Either way, let's. Where's your money?
It's like lately I've just been reading music. I stopped listening to it.
Yeah, what do you do? Do you read notes? Like, do you know how to read music?
No, sadly I actually don't.
That's interesting because you want to be. I actually am not a musician by trade.
I have to eventually learn.
Maybe I can teach you to read. Because I learned how to read that for piano, so suck on that. All right, so best achievement in visual effects. What's your final vote? Mine's Hugo.
I'm going with Hugo.
Yep, Hugo.
I'm going with Hugo because it was actually it was part of the storytelling process. It wasn't just there for eye candy.
It was actually integral
if you've seen the movie,
storytelling.
You know how important it was, and that's that. If you want to throw, now I don't know if the Oscars do this or not, but if you want to throw in the fact that the 3D was probably the best since Avatar, then it absolutely hands down wins best visual effect.
Whether it wins or not, it certainly deserves it, just because how integral it plays into the storytelling, as we were talking about. And I thought it was a great commentary because the film talks about oldie time, which back black and white or Technicolor rather, and then
when they used to read books.
Right, back in the day, they used to read books. This fad of movies, moving pictures. They were coming out, and the movie itself telling the origins, the birth of cinema, while also pushing the boundaries of cinema to the latest movement. So I thought it was a great sort of self-awareness portrayed in the special effects, and like you said, integral to storytelling, and therefore I think it should win. So all right,
I agree.
Best achievement in sound editing. Just to be clear, sound editing is like the Foley art, the construction of the actual sounds. And for nominees are Drive, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, Hugo, Transformers: Dark of the Moon, and Warhorse. And my vote is, even though I have not seen it yet, I've seen the original, have not seen the American version, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, just because I know Fincher and Trent Reznor. Well, actually, Ren Kleiss would be the recipient of it. But I feel like the music, the background sounds,
that's really just
mood,
their baby. They just merged themselves and call themselves Ren Kleiss.
Right, yeah. The Ren Kleiss actually doesn't exist. It's
yeah.
Just,
I mean, what kind of a name is that? Ren Kleiss. It sounds like it was Ken Rice, and then they just kind of switched it around. They're like, you know what? Let's do a Ren Kleiss. Nobody will know who the hell.
Ken Rice is suspicious, but Ren Kleiss sounds foreign enough to. Interesting. Very cool. All right.
But I'm going with The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo as well. Though my only dilemma is, where do you distinguish what was part of the score and what was part of the sound editing? Because I remember there was a lot of little sound effects in the background while watching the movie, but I feel like that was on Trent Reznor's end and not so much from the sound editing department. So,
well, I think with sound editing specifically, they're talking about like when you the footsteps, the breaking of a door, the car getting smashed, but ultimately, I believe best achievement in sound editing is one of those giveaway prizes for people who deserve it for other stuff. And so I think that's why I'm voting for The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo for political reasons. So
definitely. Well, I think it's cool that Drive is in there too, because I mean, Drive has really good sound, but at the end of the day, I don't think they did anything too outside the box. They just recorded like engines running very well, but I don't know. I don't think.
You know what? Even though I actually hated the script for Drive and a lot of the acting, I actually thought that Drive should have been nominated for Best Score, but we'll talk about that when we get there.
Well, no, because that was more of a soundtrack thing.
Well then, no, but it was still made.
That was like Garden State getting nominated for Best Score.
I believe if a soundtrack is made inspired by the motion picture, it automatically becomes the.
But then every Quentin Tarantino movie.
No, because those songs predated the film. You see what I'm saying? Like,
but that's no,
hold on. This is actual definition. Drive. And we can find this out later. I actually don't have it I don't know for a fact, but I strongly suspect that every song made for Drive. Except for some, I think I recall some actual pop songs that predated it. But if the music was inspired by the film, not like a sound supervisor, a music supervisor went out and picked some good music, I believe that the movie was made and then they got a guy to make songs for it.
No. A lot of the songs, I'm a big fan of the Drive soundtrack. A lot of the songs are from the 80s. They're genuinely from the 80s.
80s songs?
Yes.
Then I take back everything I said, and Drive just sucks. So, best achievement in sound mixing. Up next, we got The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, Hugo, Moneyball, Transformers: Dark of the Moon, Warhorse.
I actually was watching Moneyball for the second time last night.
Yeah?
And yesterday I read, all the nominations and everything, and I remember that it was in sound mixing, and you know what? It was fantastic. The way that they used sound towards the end of that movie was fantastic. The way that they would dip down the audio, and then they would just put the sound of just a bat swinging, and then someone cheering, and then bring back all the audio at the same time. It was pretty impressive, I have to say. But I'm still going to go with the girl with the dragon tattoo.
What? Nice twist there. I'm actually voting for Moneyball for all the reasons you said, and also for political reasons. They should give Moneyball for other stuff that they're not going to give it to, including acting and stuff. So I think that Moneyball is going to win purely for political reasons. And moving on, we got Best Achievement in Music Writing for Motion Pictures. Original Song. I'm going to vote for the Muppets.
I'm going to go for Rio.
Also, I never realized until now, but it's got Brett McKenzie, and if I'm not wrong, I believe that's the guy from Flight of the Conchords.
Yeah.
No, yeah. Flight of Conchords plus classic Muppets plus Jason Segel. Sorry, I'm gonna have to give it to the Muppets. Rio was also too long ago. It's not as fresh as the Muppets, and so I think that's why I think Muppets is also gonna. Again, most of my reasoning here is not what I think deserves or things that I've actually seen. It goes by what I think the Academy will choose for political reasons. Sometimes the two go. Sometimes the two align. You know, it deserves it, and the Academy thinks it deserves it. But I'm voting where I think the money will be. And
I'm just surprised there was only 2 songs nominated. But then again, I can't really think of other songs that were made for movies. I can't this year. I mean that sounds about right.
You know, the Planet of the Apes. They were banging on the cars enough to make it sound like music. Maybe that could have been nominated. Okay. Anyway, sorry. So Best Achievement in Music Written for Motion Pictures, Original Score.
You see, this is my expertise right here.
Here's where we're gonna.
Well, actually, no, you're a big score guy too yourself.
I love score guys, and in a bit we'll go down the list.
You love score guys, okay?
No, I love scores, and I'm a guy. You can't see it right now, but I'm showing the guns. All right, so The Adventures of Tintin, The Artist, Hugo, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, Warhorse, and
it's important to note that John Williams is nominated twice in this. Which is it's just an average year for John Williams.
Yeah, this is just exactly. This is pretty standard John Williams. My vote goes for The Artist, and right now I'm actually getting a call from my number 1 fan, Mommy Dearest. So why don't you go ahead and talk about The Artist scores a little bit?
Yeah,
you know what?
Perfect timing.
Actually, never mind. That kind of missed there, but you know what? I'll call her after the words.
Okay.
All right, so yeah,
that's a great way to treat our number 1 fan, Julian.
No, well,
just
she knows
calling them back.
Actually, as I'm not picking up, I'm texting her. It's funny you said that.
Okay, well, I think this is one of those categories where it's a done deal. You can almost just move on. If for anybody here who has seen The Artist, we all know how ridiculous. There's no other word that score was. It was just on point. Somehow it was able to it was able to sound like it came from that time, but still have the crispness and the modern technical aspects of a score today to keep you entertained. You know, it wasn't too goofy. It wasn't like just pure ragtime piano. It was just very effective. The main, I guess the overture, the main melody of the whole film was fantastic. I was humming it afterwards when I left the movie for the first time, and I just think it's hands down the winner here. But I have not heard the score for Warhorse, and I just have a feeling it might be really good.
I'm sure it's brilliant. I mean, it's John Williams, but I gotta say, The Artist. You just don't hear scores like this anymore. And, you know, similarly to how we talked about the special effects for Hugo and how it was integral to the storytelling, never before has a score, at least not to my recent memory, was it so integral. I mean, the score was the main character of The Artist. It was its own entity.
It's a silent film. The music used to be so important. I mean, back in the day,
it's the backbone. It's the dialogue.
People would go to the movie theaters, to the cinemas, and they would actually have an orchestra playing on the side, which must have been very loud. I always wondered about that, but they would actually have like an orchestra opera playing while they would watch the actual film itself, and so music used to be an even more essential part in filmmaking, and they bring it back with the artists, and it's fantastic. Fantastic.
I predict there's gonna be like a special showcasing of The Artist with the live band and like a 4x3 screen.
Yeah,
you know, like it's gonna be like a ridiculous and like in some kind of old, like maybe the Chinese theater or like some kind of oldie time fashion looking theater, and it's gonna
that would be awesome.
Yeah, I think it's like, give it like 10 years or something like that. They're gonna do something. Not even probably for when it comes out of Blu-ray, they'll probably do like some crazy ass big thing for it. Kind of like the way Hans Zimmer had a live performance when The Dark Knight was being released.
Yeah, and for Inception too, right?
Yep. Oh,
that's cool that he does that. Not a lot of I know Clint Mansell does that.
Yeah, I'm definitely, when I become when my pockets become a little deeper, I'm totally gonna see Hans Zimmer live, and I'm gonna shout requests like inappropriately, like I'm in a rock concert. I'll be like, "Lion King," I'm not a hero by The Dark Knight. The one with the track, and because he kind of renamed it in the second disc. That's not the one I'm talking. I'm just gonna get a really inappropriate long conversation, a one-way conversation with him.
I wonder if Hans Zimmer is like your prototype rock star.
I mean, essentially he is. I mean,
like, does he get trashed in the background and there's like women waiting for him? You know what I mean? Like, when you've scored The Dark Knight and Inception,
you're a rock star, yeah. And I'm sure. I believe he's married. Probably has a family, and composers have. It's a different breed, And even they collaborate with. I mean, he got the guitarist guy to play for the Inception, and
the guy from the Smiths.
Yeah. I don't have his name on board.
Yeah, I always forget it. He definitely did a great job. It was all about his tone. It wasn't so much his playing. Like I know Hans Zimmer really liked the tone of his guitar.
It's Johnny Marr from the Smiths, and yes, definitely the tone. And I'm loving this new trend of combining rock guitar a little bit. The kick-ass score. And
you know who started that?
I believe that's Clint. No, not Clint. Clint Mansell, right?
Yep.
Yeah. See, I am a score guy. No, I also loved it in the Kick-Ass score and the X-Men First Class score, which was that was actually done by a guy who sounds like John Williams.
I actually, the X-Men First Class score didn't really stand out to me. I mean, I didn't.
Well,
I'll check it out again. Definitely, the Kick-Ass score was really good.
Henry Jackman, he's the one who did it. Which is funny because it sounds a little like Hugh Jackman.
Yeah,
it's all connected. It's all
connected.
That's always been my argument for everything, that it's all connected.
It's all part of the big lie, Illuminati.
Well, it's not, or the big truth, bro. Big truth. No, you gotta think bigger.
That's like glass half full, half empty.
No. It's the truth of the universe. Everything's connected somehow.
What are you, by the way? Half full or half empty kind of guy?
Well, see, sometimes half empty can be.
Or is that going to let us know too much about you? We're going to get too into your world, and then people will stop listening.
Everyone is totally welcome into my world. I'll tell you right now, it's kind of a backwards thing for me. It's the poison cup is half empty. You see that?
Ah.
So it's a twist on an old familiar. No, yeah. Actually, Henry Jackman did not work on Kick-Ass. He only worked on X-Men First Class, which is probably why the disparity. But no, he did. Never mind. Take it back. Yes, Kick-Ass, I remember, had technically 4 different composers, and I'm actually going to have another podcast for select films, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit, especially when they took the credit for that. They actually took the credit, the chord progression for Godspeed You Black Emperor song that was in 28 Days Later. They actually took credit. They stole that song and took credit for composing it, and talked in the behind the scenes. They actually talked about coming up with it. And I'm like, are you guys crazy? Like, maybe it's a caveman stuck in a.
I think that's gonna take over scores forever. That whole post-rock genre, the explosions in the sky. Totally. I mean, once again, when I was watching Moneyball yesterday, I never really realized that it was just that very minimalist little guitar track in the background. Like
that, I love it though.
Really good, by the way.
Friday Night Lights.
Actually, I think Moneyball should have been nominated. Now I'm kind of pissed.
You should be pissed. That's exactly what I was gonna mention earlier. Like, I'm surprised Moneyball wasn't. But you know what it is? It's. I think Friday Night Lights, the movie, not the show, but the movie itself. I thought the biggest strength of it was the combining of the score with the shaky cam action and intimate close-ups. But like that's what set that film apart from other football films. Otherwise, it'd be. I mean, how much more powerful would have Any Given Sunday be had it had the Explosions in the Sky score like that? which I actually thought Any Given Sunday was a superior football film to Friday Night Lights. But Friday Night
I'm
Lights,
not a big Any Given Sunday fan.
Interesting.
I don't like the cinematography. I just didn't like the movie too much. But what I found it fascinating about Friday Night Lights, the movie, I mean, the show is my favorite show ever. But the movie itself was the fact that it was almost like he was just trying to make a film like if Michael Mann were to make a sports film, this is what it would look like, you know. So that's what he's trying to do. You know how Michael Mann incorporates very atmospheric music and shaky cameras and all that. And I felt that they pulled it off very well, but he did not pull it off the same way with Hancock and.
I hate to. Okay, first of all, a lot of mistakes here. Any Given Sunday was directed by Oliver Stone.
No. I'm talking about Friday Night Lights.
Oh, okay. Friday Night Lights was actually directed by Peter Berg.
Peter Berg, yeah, which he did Hancock.
And so Michael Mann.
And Peter Berg was actually Michael Mann's cameraman, and that is why he is very influenced by that Michael Mann style, and that's why you like the whole Friday Night Lights feel, because if you're a Michael Mann fan, then you know chances are you probably like Friday Night Lights. And in closing, so we all know that makeup is your expertise. Julian, what do you feel was the best achievement in makeup? Yeah. We have the nominations are Albert Nobbs, which is if you've seen the trailer, I doubt anybody has seen that movie. I don't even know where you can watch it. If you've seen the trailer, that's the movie with Glenn Close where she's like dressed up like a man and she looks like they pulled it off very well. Then you have Harry Potter Part 2 and you have The Iron Lady. Now, I think either three of them can take it, but I'm definitely going with Albert Nobbs because when I saw the trailer, I was thoroughly impressed by the makeup and by Glenn Close. Although Glenn Close is not technically the most feminine of women. We love you, Glenn Close. Yes, but she, it just looks amazing. I mean, I wish we could just post up a picture.
I'm actually gonna probably post coinciding pictures on the Turns Out page, but everyone can just look up Albert Nobbs and see how perfect the makeup is and how it coincides with the light. And I think we mentioned off air that just the real test on how good makeup is just pull up any still and judge it based on the still rather than the motion. And yep. Man, because it's more scrutinizing, not because it's more accurate reading of how good the makeup is, but it's a more when you have a still of a motion picture and you're judging makeup, I feel like there's more room for it to fuck up. And I gotta say, man, yeah, Albert Nobbs, just startling how convincing Glenn Close is as a man, and yeah, I think that's gonna be easily. I mean, they might give it to Harry Potter just to kind of again to acknowledge the franchise, like a pity gift. Yeah. But I don't think Deathly Hallows Part 2 was a critical success enough to do that. And Iron Lady, it's almost too obvious. So all right, so best achievement in costume design. I believe it's going to go to. I think it's going to go to WE, just because of that whole, 1920s. First of all, it's WE is kind of like the side movie for The King's Speech, and where it's Guy Pearce's character, the would be king, who basically the man who gave up the crown to be with the love of his life, and if you look at the trailer. The costume design.
It's directed by Madonna, guys. Come on, let's all be honest here. Oh, actually, there we go. Madonna won the Golden Globe for her song for her own movie, WE.
That wasn't even nominated.
And it wasn't nominated.
Interesting. Well, then you know what?
That reminds me of probably maybe the biggest Oscar jip in Oscar history. I mean, it's hard to deny this. Was what's this called? This guy's song for the wrestler.
Oh my God, the boss, Bruce Springsteen.
I don't even like.
I don't like him either. But
that song makes me cry. That song.
That trailer.
That song. That song is strange. It makes you feel like a man.
Yeah.
but at the same time you just want to break down and
it's
cry.
Interesting. You feel it, yeah.
You know, it's like one of those like life is life is hard.
Life's beating you down, and you know, the country's in shambles, and you're just a broken man.
Yeah, and it won the Golden Globe. It won every other thing. People praise the song, even if you didn't like the movie.
What fucking
itself.
won?
And it wasn't even
what
nominated.
What beat it? What won that year?
No. Forget that. It wasn't nominated.
I understand that, but who won?
Award.
Who won that year?
I forgot. It was probably this crap guy from.
Oh wait. Was that
Slumdog?
Oh, every single fucking Danka song sounds exactly the same. Not that I don't love it. To be honest with you, I'm a huge Bollywood fan, but come on, let's be honest. It's like ranchero music. It all sounds.
Are you really a huge Bollywood fan?
I am. But for production value, and you know what it is? I enjoy Bollywood films because they're so different. And yet, at the same time, it's clearly like them trying to mimic the old golden Hollywood kind of production. And what I like about Bollywood, and I'll just say this really quick, I like the goal behind it, which is every Bollywood film should be every movie wrapped into one. Action, romance, adventure. You know, like that's it's all that. And then it's got this kind of... Because the thing about, like, you know... Indian, especially Indian women, they have this sort of grace that you just don't see in Europe or America, or just out of white women. Like they have like this sort of like in the movement, in the eyes, and it all plays into it. And I dig it. I dig a good Bollywood film for like for like one movie, maybe two a year though.
It's cool. I just don't like the fact that like they always have to incorporate like song and dance.
That's kind of why I like it though. It's a musical. It's also an action movie. It's everything. I like the idea of a movie going for everything. I mean, like one of my favorite movies of all time is Princess Bride, and I thought that's exactly what it did. It's a movie that had everything. So, but then
Princess Bride.
But I will be the first to say that Bollywood movies are repetitive as shit. And
repetitive. It's the same movie every time.
And it's. I actually haven't seen Namesake though, and I heard that's kind of a. Well, it's not really a Bollywood film, but I've actually been meaning to check that out with Cal Penn. I'm actually trying to find out right now who the hell beat the Wrestlers. Well, the Wrestler was what, 2000 what? 10, 11? No, the award ceremony.
No, maybe 9.
But the movie came out in 2009, but the Oscar ceremony.
No. The Wrestlers 2007.
So then it's a 2008?
If I remember correctly, yeah, the Wrestler's pretty old.
Okay. Hold on. No, yeah. I'll race you.
We should have like this little theme song that plays when. Yeah, the Wrestler is 2008.
The movie came out in 2008.
Yeah.
So and then, oh wait, was that the same year that Once came out?
Once.
If it was, then sorry,
no.
Bruce. You're not as good at that.
No, Once was a little older.
Oh, you know what? I'm looking up the 2008 winners, which means 2007 movies. So 2000 Oscar winners 2009. The winner for best song was
Rob Schneider.
Rob Schneider. Yeah, it's that stupid Jai Ho Slumdog song. Yep.
I told you.
You're right. And you know what? I poop on that. I poop on that a lot. A huge.
No, and it sucks because he won best score and then they also gave him best song. It's like, come on.
No, yeah, it's one of those things where it's like I thought the movie was so great and they misallocated the credit once again.
No, and the worst part is they nominated him twice. Okay, you have Jai Ho that was nominated and Osaya.
I think they deserved the nomination, but certainly not the fucking win. And Wrestler deserved the win. Never mind the nomination.
Yeah, and then the Wrestler's not even nominated.
That's what I'm saying.
Here. And then you got Peter Gabriel with Thomas Newman for Wall-E, the song Down to Earth, which is really cool and all. But I mean, Wall-E's pretty much in. I don't know. It's the animated version of Idiocracy.
Are you serious?
So I mean, it's pretty.
I loved Idiocracy, but Wall-E was so much more in terms of cinematic achievement. Just that first.
Oh no, definitely.
The 25 minutes of no dialogue, dude. That was incredible.
It was too preachy. It was too.
No way.
No way. You gotta get your.
Stop being fat. I think that's the greatest moral.
Stop being fat. Be green. The whole world is run by advertisements. Like, do you really need that?
And robots. Hell yeah, you need that, kid. You need to start young, son.
I don't know. It's like honestly, we all know Al Gore directed that movie. And
wait, are you a global warming denier?
No, I'm not.
Okay, well then shut up. All right, so we're in a best achievement in art direction. Moving forward, wow, is it really? Wait, did we skip costumes? No. Oh, so costume design. What's your final vote?
Definitely W.
You know what's interesting? Since you mentioned that Madonna didn't even get nominated for best song, there might be some sort of nepotism working against. Not nepotism, but there may be some kind of inner workings going against things. I'm actually going to amend my vote to the artist. I'm going to do that. Yeah, even though I think Hugo deserves it, I think they might just be one of those things where it's like they want to just pile on the artist. So that's.
I mean, this is the only nomination for WE, so I'm definitely sticking with my.
But it's also the only nomination for Anonymous, and you're not running to that, and that's Roland Emmerich. You know, well, I guess.
Yeah.
Roland Emmerich versus Madonna.
That master filmmaker.
I was gonna say Roland Emmerich versus Madonna, and it's hard to see who the bigger joke is. Although that being said, I heavily enjoyed Independence Day and Day After Tomorrow. You know, and I know I'm gonna get a lot of shit for it.
Oh no way!
Yeah, dude.
Day After Tomorrow sucks.
For honestly, better than every Michael Bay movie. Better than other movies that.
No,
better than Transformers. Better than other summer retarded blockbuster films.
No, but Transformers 1 was pretty cool.
No, it wasn't.
I mean, Spielberg, from what I've heard, had a lot to do with it.
Well, then he should stop producing because that. I'm sorry, I love Spielberg.
But then again, Spielberg had everything to do with Indiana Jones.
Nope, that's Lucas. Lucas is the script guy.
Crystal. No, but the Crystal Skull.
Yeah. Lucas was dead set on the screenplay, and Spielberg was like, "A refrigerator nuke? Really? Are you sure?"
Yeah, but at the end of the day, he went with it, so that's his fault. I mean, that's if a director has any job out
but
there,
you got a clash of titans here. There's no, if anybody could trump Spielberg as a director, it would be Lucas as a producer. And this is not just me saying this. This is like years of Lucas being very stubborn in his ways, i.e. prequels.
No, I know, but Spielberg should be able to filter it out. You think Spielberg is not a big enough voice?
No, he's huge, but
the point is he liked it and he went with
it. Well, I guess we'll never know. But all right, moving forward, best achievement in
best achievement in art direction.
Hugo.
I'm gonna go. I think Hugo is gonna. I mean, I think the artist is gonna take it, but I'm going with Hugo on this one.
I think Hugo deserves it.
I don't know why the hell Midnight in Paris is in there. I mean, it's pretty much the actual set is just
France,
the beautiful city of Paris.
They're gonna give it. They're actually gonna give it to France. Not even Paris, just like France, the country, just because of how badly they're misallocating credit here. All right, so best achievement in editing. I'm gonna have to give this, even though I can already tell your vote. Let's go down the list. The Artist, The Descendants, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, Hugo, and Moneyball.
This one's easy for me. I'm going with
The Artist, and I think that we actually have opposing philosophies as to why they're gonna win. You believe, well, I'll let you go over that, but The Artist I think is gonna win just because of that scene where he's dreaming that he doesn't have a voice except everything else has sound, so it breaks the format of the silent movie, and yet it still maintains his lack of voice. And so it accomplishes this sort of self-awareness of what's happening at the moment, and it also happens to be his nightmare. I love, as an editor, I love that scene. I thought it was brilliant, and you know, beg your pardon, I believe it was a great artistic choice. So
and that's exactly why I disagree.
Exactly. Go on.
Because from what I know of the Oscars, they don't go technically for the artistic and creative type of editing. They go for the one that's actually helping, like, the story.
It did, though. It totally it was integral to the story the way the special effects is integral to Hugo.
No, definitely, but I'm saying the consistency, which is within like the duration of the film. Like, how consistent was it? Was it always? Was it not noticeable? Was it seamless? Was it,
That's not always an objective.
Did every millisecond count in that shot? And if you really pay attention to Moneyball, I feel that it was definitely the best.
On top of that, I also love the scene where she's dancing with herself by using her arm through the guy's sleeve in his jacket. When Beijo's dancing with herself, and the scene where
Yeah, but that's direction.
That's direction, but they could have cut away at certain predictable points, and they totally let it ride. And that movie constantly just lets it ride. And I thought that was the restraint on that was a huge achievement in editing. And as you know, in editing, it's not like music or your drummer analogy from Led Zeppelin. John Bonham from Led Zeppelin is the rests. The accomplishment.
It's not what he played; it's what he didn't.
And
play.
I think that's why the artist is.
But here's the thing: I mean, you watch the first scene of Moneyball, and it's already fantastically well edited. It starts.
Oh yeah.
What you learn in editing is that you got to start from like wide, go in medium, and then go in close up. It starts as a close up, goes medium, goes wide, and it just gives you.
Some would say that's flashy. Just not to shit on your point, but
no, but it's very subtle at the same time.
Well, I'm an editor, so
I thought it was personally fantastic.
No, I agree, man. Don't get me wrong. I thought Moneyball's editing was spectacular, and I think we can both agree that fucking hope The Descendants doesn't win.
I don't.
And you know what might just give us a surprise? Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. I didn't see it, but
because those faster paced movies. But actually,
was it really fast paced? Then never mind. That's gonna take away from it. Never mind.
Actually, The Descendants was very well edited. If there was anything that I liked about that movie, it was its editing.
And the little girl was a great actress, I hear.
Yeah, the girl was a very good actress. I don't know why she was.
I don't know why I called her little. But apparently she's 19 or something, right?
All right, and one of my favorite categories ever.
Best achievement in cinematography. Yes. I'll go down the list. The Artist, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, Hugo, The Tree of Life, and War Horse. I think it's a pretty slam dunk that I think that Hugo deserves it, and I'm not so sure if it's gonna win. I really don't know, but I'm gonna vote for it because I want it to win so bad.
Yes, I'm definitely going for Hugo, and I also think it's going to win. I think it's a kind of a toss-up between The Tree of Life and Hugo, but The Tree of Life might be a little too experimental. They might not like the fact that, there's a lot of handheld camera
and dinosaurs.
Yeah, it's got like the camera work of it is very Nolan-esque. It's very Inception, Dark Knight, where it's kind of wide handheld camera work, but it's not extremely handheld. It's not like Michael Mann shaky, but the actual lighting of The Tree of Life is absolutely gorgeous. It brings out people's skin tones fantastically. It's an amazing use of natural light. But I definitely think Hugo is just extremely cinematic. The cinematography in Hugo is so amazing. I've said this a million times, but it's so amazing that you probably know someone who thinks Hugo is an animated movie. Someone who hasn't watched it because they watched the trailer and they think it's animated. They think it's like the Polar Express or
motion
Ratatouille
capture.
Or
yeah, not Ratatouille, but more like Polar Express and Beowulf and Tintin. It's funny. In that same vein, I believe there are people out there who don't realize that Tintin is animated. So
that is so true. Actually, I think I might be
10 years from now. I believe. Well, I've heard Adam Carolla say this before, and I agree with him instantly, which is that we're all the guinea pig generation when it comes to both special effects and plastic surgery. Our kids are going to be able to enjoy perfect CGI and perfect plastic surgery. Right now, we're all just fucking guinea pigs, and it kind of blows, but whatever. At least we can say we were there. All right, so I agree, Hugo. Gorgeous film, and best foreign language film of the year. Did not see it. However, I nonstop sensations for a Separation.
I've actually seen A Separation. I have not seen the other four. I cannot wait to watch them. I love foreign films. Yeah. But A Separation was mind-blowing. I am probably going to purchase it right after this.
It's the perfect storm. It's political. It's also of the heart. It's a family story. So I have not seen it. I've seen the trailer. I've seen extensive interviews for it.
And it's probably the greatest prison movie ever made. And that's saying a lot.
Let's slow it down there. I have not seen it yet.
I saw this one prison movie from Spain that was fantastic.
It's called A Prophet, right? No, it's French. Never mind. A Prophet is, no. I think, the best.
The Spain one was like Cell 411 or something. It was really, really good, and anybody listening should check it out. But A Separation was just like if like Kubrick would have directed that movie. Like,
big name.
It was just really, really good.
I gotta check it out. But I think the best, like in terms of like objectively or artistically, the best prison movie is A Prophet. However, my favorite prison movie of all time is Blood In, Blood Out. I get a lot of shit from people for it.
Oh, that movie's awesome. But that movie, I love that movie.
I thought that movie was incredible.
That movie's awesome, but I mean, then again, there's Shawshank Redemption. Now,
that's what everyone says. That's the mainstream.
The only reason
answer.
I wouldn't put Shawshank Redemption as number one is just because it's just one of the greatest movies overall.
All right.
It's not just a prison movie. I feel A Separation is a prison movie. It's the same way that I don't look at Wizard of Oz as a musical.
Right.
I think the greatest musical of all time is Singing in the Rain.
Really?
Wizard of Oz, to me, is just one of the greatest.
Jesus Christ Superstar for me, as far as best musical of all time. I thought,
yeah, it is.
I fucking love that movie. It's so hard rocking, and the best singer in that movie is Judas, a black Judas. Genius.
To me, what makes a musical is if you were to take out the musical performances, would the movie cease to exist?
Yes.
You know, and for instance, in the Wizard of Oz, if you were to take out all the Munchkin
it would
sequences
still be
and all
awesome.
that,
Yeah.
It would still be awesome.
Right.
So, and that's the thing with The Separation. If you took out the jail setting, the prison setting, it probably wouldn't be as good. But in a Shawshank Redemption, you could probably take out the jail setting. You could probably make it that they're, I don't know, in a concentration camp, and it would still be
I don't know about that. Just because, the whole point of it was him finding justice in an unjust world, and you need that sort of maybe if it was under house arrest, it wouldn't be as impressive.
I just think that the screenplay and what it's all about, and the meaning at the end, and the richness of the characters.
But they're rich because of the
ways that you can tweak it. There's ways that you can tweak it where it does not have to be in a prison setting.
It could be like an island or something. I mean, the whole point of that.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Somewhere that's isolated and secluded from the rest of civilization.
But they're isolated and amongst the fellow isolated for reasons that deserve to be isolated. So I don't know. I think they can argue that around in circles. So we'll just kind of move forward, kind of push through. We're getting close to the 1 hour mark, and we haven't even talked to the really big heavy hitters here. So
exactly.
Well, we might go hour and a half for this special one. All right. So best animated feature film.
I think we can pass over this one pretty.
Yeah,
quickly.
Rango's the best.
It's done.
It's awesome. But you know what? I gotta talk a little bit about Rango here. I loved Rango so much, and I actually have pre-hate for Johnny Depp, especially in recent years. But I gotta say, he was phenomenal as Rango, and I just loved the world. I don't think the Western genre has been done correctly yet. All the old films that are done in the West that are supposed to be awesome, they suffer from production value datedness, especially in the sound effects for the gunshots. They're always ricochet sounds. And that's why I think...
Wait. Are you saying that, like, any Western film? You're not just talking about anime. You're talking about Western films in general?
I'm saying as a genre of the Western film as a genre suffers greatly either from production value or from lack of creativity in recent years.
I don't know.
Yes.
Have you seen a little movie called Once Upon a Time in the West?
Have you heard a little movie called Once Upon a Time in the West? The sound effects aren't scary. I'm not scared of any bullets in that movie. And again, it's a datedness. It's a reason I saw it when I was older, and I think that
I don't know. I just think for that same reason, you can downplay a lot of old films.
And unfortunately, I do, man. I think I can't. I love Hitchcock. I love also, but they still suffer from
Let's
datedness.
not go there.
I'm telling you, they still.
Moving on. How good was Rango, Julian?
Rango was so good because it was so much better than all the other the westerns that came out. No, I'm kidding. I actually loved Rango because it's a combination of two things that I love. I love. I do love Western films, but you're gonna tell me that the mainstream audience can latch onto them as much? That's all I'm saying. Not personally. I'm saying.
I mean, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Are we comparing The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly to Rango here?
What I'm saying is this: what I loved about Rango was that it combined westerns that I love, and it combined cartoon world or animated world of talking animals, which I don't think we get enough of, or at least not in a way that is satisfactory in recent years. Like, I fucking can't stand Madagascar. Kung Fu Panda was disappointing, even though I'm a huge Jack Black fan. But I loved.
Well, Ratatouille is like my
Ratatouille
favorite
is the best, but humans
ever.
exist in that world, and it's different. It's a different.
Yeah.
I'm talking movies where it's populated by talking animals, not.
Yeah, it's probably
not like ants or Ratatouille or Bug's Life, where it's these animals that live in a world with that, and humans are a part of the threat or they're part of that world. I'm talking, a world where animals are wearing clothes and they're using devices and stuff like that, and that's where all the cuteness can be exploited.
Well, technically, in the beginning of Rango, he's in
that
the
is absolutely true.
Of a human
You are
car,
so right.
Of a car
I
with
just
humans.
shot myself in the foot. It's been a while since I've seen the movie.
No. But you're right, because for
the majority of the film, he goes to this
1% or 2%.
Right, exactly. So I stick with my guns in that case, but my guns are in the holsters, and they just shot me in the pinky toe. I shot myself in the.
That's what I'm here for.
I shot myself in the pinky toe. How about that? I can still walk. I can still fight. I can still run. And so what I also loved about it, my favorite thing about Rango, of course, was that water was the currency.
That was genius.
Stroke of genius.
I'm trying to figure out if that's the first movie ever, or first story ever to use that.
It's
as like
probably not, but
as a plot.
If it is, why hasn't it been done before? I mean, it's such an essential thing.
So cool.
I mean, you know what we got to do? We got to go back and watch desert movies, and I'm sure Waterworld. Fresh water was a currency in Waterworld, and I loved Waterworld. So
yeah, but you know what was also a currency in Waterworld?
Cigarettes, also brilliant.
Crap.
Manure.
Then we suck.
No, manure to grow plants. Thank you for making my point. All right, so we're here on what's next? Oh,
we're on to one of my.
All right,
second
last
favorites.
column. I think we can probably go the half hour just for this. All right.
For the big
guns. Big guns. Best writing screenplay based on material previously produced or best adapted screenplay, basically. The Descendants, Hugo, The Ides of March, Moneyball, or Tinker, Tailor, Soldier, Spy. I will have to go ahead and I know what your vote is, but I gotta say
no. I just want to kind of critique one movie in there, if I may.
Fucking Ides of March.
The fucking Ides of crap.
Oh my god! It's funny because it's a movie that should have been spectacular. It had an amazing cast. It had
the Ides of Starch.
Nice. The I can't really beat Ides of Starch.
Yeah,
Ides of Starch is pretty good, but
It's just so bad. It's one of those movies where you can actually explain it to someone. You can actually detail the entire movie from anywhere from 20 to 40 seconds.
You know what it was? It was just such a. It's basically politics for dummies. It doesn't
exactly. It's third grade politics. It just a movie's bad. I'm a huge Ryan Gosling fan. You know a movie's bad where Ryan Gosling did not convince me. I didn't like him. I could have done without him. And even more so, people were mad that he didn't get nominated. Really?
No, it's a big fart noise. People are distracted by his by his six pack. And you know what? Actually, I really liked Clooney in the role. However, the material was such garbage.
He was all right.
I actually liked him a lot. I bought him as the conflicted, nobody's perfect kind of politician. Like I said, it's basically the Clinton movie that should have come out 4 years ago, or even 8 years ago, rather.
Wait,
12 years ago, actually.
You know what sound comes to mind when I think of that movie?
Fart noise. Here we go. That is great stuff. That's exactly it. And you know what else?
Which is pretty much the equivalent of like a boner going down, because we all know, a movie with Ryan Gosling, like the boner's already up, no need for Viagra, no homo, and then you just, it starts going on and the same old crap. And honestly, what was with that the little plot with the girl? If anyone has seen
don't get me started
movie.
on Evan Rachel Wood. God, I hate
Evan
her
Rachel
so
Wood's
much.
character, like,
I just hate her as an actress. Never mind her character. I mean, God, she's the absolute worst thing in True Blood. She was just so terrible. I just fucking hate Evan Rachel Wood. She's not even that good. Whatever. We're gonna move on.
Wait. So what are we picking here? What are we picking?
Oh, duh, Moneyball. Dude, I don't even like sports. Never mind baseball. I think it's the slowest part.
Fantastic.
And my eyes and ears were glued. It's that thing. It's that human element.
It's actually a very odd bits of dialogue. The characters are a little odd. I actually wouldn't be surprised if people didn't understand really what was going on, because
we didn't have to. We didn't have to understand. We just knew that there were some stakes. Jonah Hill and Brad Pitt were really concerned with shit, and the Rincon scene alone is worthy of screenplay, because that's an acting scene, but it was written so tight, and just the little things like tell him I'm in a meeting, and
which by the way I would like to point out a little.
Shit! Was that improv? Did I just shit on my own point?
No.
Okay.
I actually analyzed this yesterday watching the movie. I thought it was fantastic that Brad Pitt's character, if you noticed throughout the film, he's a decent guy. I mean, like, he looks like, he's a little passive aggressive. The entire movie he's eating.
Well, every movie he's eating.
Yeah, in every movie he eats, but wow, he's eating in every single scene, and then he's always throwing things. Like, I was actually talking about it yesterday with our friend, with Andreas. I was like, honestly, this movie should be called Brad Pitt Throwing Shit, and people would still watch it.
It's funny because most of the stuff he throws,
it probably would have made more money than Moneyball, right?
Most of the stuff he throws actually weren't baseballs, which is the ironic part.
Yeah, he throws tables and all this stuff. Whatever. What I noticed is that,
Let's get to acting when it comes to that, though. Let's say that for the acting.
Wait, just one point.
Sure.
I thought it was fascinating. I've never really seen this in a movie. A guy who he doesn't really want to hear it from other people, like other people's opinions and critiques. He doesn't really care. He's almost kind of the disrespectful guy towards the coach, which is Philip Seymour Hoffman's character, which, by the way, he is fascinating. And his entire staff and everybody doesn't want to hear it. But, his respect level for Jonah Hill's character is fascinating. He treats him like a son.
Well, he earned it because he's tired of the old.
Why? But why?
Because he brought the new.
Exactly. It's not because he's so amazing at what he does, or because he's successful, or no. It's because he was new. He was fresh. He had a new idea. Even though he didn't invent that idea, he was the one pushing for that.
It's interesting.
I thought that was a fascinating little subtext in a story.
Because typically what we see in these kind of movies is where the mentor figure basically has to beat the shit out of the arrogant young guy.
Exactly.
And
it was the opposite. It was the opposite.
It was the old arrogant guy trying to get over himself, and this new insecure new guy trying to actually has the goods. And that is a refreshing, because it's always the generational fight is always, you kids don't understand, got no respect for you old timers. You always think the old way. And that's kind of what the dynamic always is.
Yeah,
and
like
now more than ever.
The scene where he's telling Jonah Hill that he's gonna have to fire somebody. He's gonna have to tell them to go home, pack up their bags, and it's got to be cold. And he says, would you rather get 5 shots to the stomach and bleed to death, or would you rather get a shot to the head? And when he's telling him that, he's telling him so nicely. He's not telling him like, look, you got to do it or you're fired. He's telling him, look, that's just part of the job.
It's interesting. It's interesting.
Just great.
He lullabies him as he's feeding him
he serenades him.
As he's feeding him the serenade.
He pulls out the acoustic guitar, it's just a tropical backdrop behind him.
As he feeds him the cyanide pill. And it's great. It's that change in dynamic. Ironically enough, that dynamic is new, just like Jonah Hill's character and what he represents. So it's
it's funny because Jonah Hill looks like if there would be a teenage version of the Batman movies, like he would play the Penguin.
Yeah, it's funny. Actually, I heard on the boards that Jonah Hill might be like a good cast for when they decide to. I've always wanted Bob Hoskins to play Penguin, because I think Penguin is not supposed to be portrayed as a young up and rising guy. He's old money, cobblepot. He's old capitalist. Greed.
I'd go with Philip Seymour Hoffman any day.
Philip Seymour Hoffman's too big to play. In terms of he's too dignified to play Penguin. Penguin's kind of a guy who's kind of a scumbag, sleaze, which Philip Seymour Hoffman he would play the shit out of it, but then he would have to play the main villain. And I think Penguin would be so great as a awesome middleman villain, which we don't get a lot of. That's why he's unique, because he's not the guy who Batman has to stop. He's the guy who Batman's got to beat up for information. So that's
because he's actually easy to stop. Yeah.
Right, but simultaneously though, he's also a Bruce Wayne villain, which is another thing that I think would be unique to. But whatever, there's gonna be a whole Batman podcast coming up, and you guys can stick around for that. All right, so let's push through upwards and forwards. We got best achievement in directing. I think this is the one I'm looking forward to the least because I really think
Wait. Aren't we doing a screenplay written directed?
Oh, idiot! Sorry. All right, so screenplay. Original screenplay, we have The Artist, Bridesmaids.
Well, I don't know why it's on there.
All right, guy. Let me just finish here. Margin Call, Midnight in Paris, and A Separation. You know, I think it's going to go to The Artist, but now that I'm thinking about it, dude, they might just give it to Woody Allen because he's such a darling.
They've given him enough, I think.
You think so? All right. I hope not. I hope it doesn't go to
Midnight in Paris was very... It was an underachieving, underperforming film. It's a movie that's set in Paris, but it is the furthest thing from Parisian.
Well, because all the main monumental characters on it were all American. Right. Well, you know what? Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna
and American as apple pie. Like.
Right,
basically, the greats of America are in it, so it's just like
Elliot
we're just
Fitzgerald,
completely shitting on France. And mind you,
Hemingway.
I don't really like French people, and France is a beautiful country, but they're arrogant, and they don't like us, and, you know, it's going to go back and forth, and yes, two wrongs make a right in this situation, because I really don't care about them.
Wow,
but
interesting. Hey,
I respect their culture, and I love French film. And Midnight in Paris is an American movie with a backdrop set in Paris. And if I was Parisian, if I was French, I'd be a little offended. And I think it was not. I'm a big Woody Allen fan. I didn't like it.
For the record, Turns Out Productions loves French people, especially the women's. So, yeah,
the women are beautiful, but. I'm sorry for saying I don't like French people. I didn't mean it like that.
I hope not, because you know,
they bug me. You know, they just bug me because we bug them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, whatever. I'm trying to bring two houses together because I'm dying to actually visit France. I haven't visited France yet. Can you believe it?
Yeah, I would love to go, but Midnight in Paris is one of those movies that could probably do it for you, and then it's like you watch it and you're like, I'm good. I'm good with Vicky Cristina Barcelona.
I can't
I'm going to Barcelona in March.
I can't get a threesome on a DVD, so that's why it'll never compare to actually visiting France. All right, so we both agree that
no, I don't actually.
Oh,
I really think that this might be the surprise of the night. Actually, this is the big one. This is the one I'm going out on a limb for.
A Separation?
I'm going to go with The Separation.
Interesting. That actually wouldn't be too much of a surprise because it's such a surprise. Again, my counter mentality. However, I'm going to have to go with The Artist on this one because I just thought that it's so different from any other film just because the format changed, the fact that it's a silent film, the fact that it relied on slug lines, and the fact that... I
just think it would be very controversial if The Artist... won for best screenplay.
Well, then I guess we'll see.
I mean, it's a silent film.
Cool. So, all right. So, right. But that again, that's why. So,
no, it would be super cool. I mean, The Artist is by far the best movie of the year for me.
Interesting. No, yeah. Well, we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. God damn it. One thing at a time. All right. So, best achievement in directing. We got Woody Allen for Midnight in Paris. We got Michelle Hazanavicius. Thank you. I was going to say it. Son of a bitch. Michelle Hazanavicius.
We should do that again. You ready?
All right. So, okay. All right. Listen, I was too busy training for your last name last night. I didn't have time to Hazanavicius.
That sounded pretty gay.
Hey, man. Look. I got to do what I got to do. No, Michelle Hazanavicius. It's not that difficult. All right. So, Terrence Malick for Tree of Life. Alexander Payne for The Descendants. And Martin Scorsese for Hugo. I gotta say, I think that Martin Scorsese deserves it for this instead of The Departed, even though I love The Departed and I thought that he deserved it in general, so The Departed was as good as ever chance to get it, so I was happy when he won it, but I almost wish he made... What?
I hated The Departed.
We'll talk about that later. Wow. Like off air, with my hands around your throat.
My Departed is Your American Beauty.
Interesting. I'm sure we could argue that back and forth.
Yeah.
Except Annette Bening was not in The Departed to fuck it up. So, all right. So, best achievement in directing. Michelle Hazanavicius, right?
Dunskies.
Excellent.
Dunskies.
Moving forward. Best performance by an actress in a supporting role.
This is the tough one.
But I'm going to have to vote with my heart instead of my mind here. My brain is telling me Octavia Spencer. Just because she won the SAG and everyone's talking about her having this huge stretch of her personality and having to just go into the mind of a frustrated fat black woman. I can't imagine what kind of method training she must have done.
Yeah, I'm definitely going with her. Dr. Octavius, she has my vote.
Interesting. Again, not because you thought it was the best performance, but because you think she's going to win, right?
Yeah, I just think she's going to win.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm voting for what I want to win, and hopefully I won't be too heartbroken when she loses, but Berenice Bejo just stole my heart. She is...
I think everyone can agree to that.
I mean, my God, it's like the dancing, the performing, the singing, the faces, her reactions.
It was that mystique of old Hollywood that people used to be obsessed with, you know.
But
that old actress with the little glow in her face. It was just class.
I thought it was extinct. It's like seeing a dinosaur, and it was just a sexy fucking dinosaur that I wanted to bang and get pregnant.
That can dance and it's just awesome.
I'm not gonna lie, I want to get Bejo pregnant, so she'll have to stick around, even if it's just for like the monthly meeting for the child support money. I just want to be close to her. She's so amazing. I'm in love with her, and
there have been racist, sexist, and bigot comments.
That's not bigot. That's me being kind of pathetic and creepy a little bit, actually. No, really. I'm just fat. You know what it is? I don't even want to have sex with Berenice Bejo. I know I'm not worthy. Like, it's just like she's just this kind of magnificent a specter that is kind of not even human. Like you said, the old Hollywood mystique that just kind of goes beyond that, and I wouldn't want to tarnish it. You know?
She's like an alien that traveled into the future or something, like, and just landed here, and we just love her.
Ironically, if she was an alien, I would definitely want to bang her. So.
Which, by the way, we have to give props to the other side. A lot of people felt that way about Jean Dujardin, that he was very classic.
We're gonna get there in a minute. But just honorable mentions. I love Jessica Chastain. It's gonna be. Put me down right now. Within 3 years, she will win an Oscar.
Probably.
She is spectacular. I'm so she would have won if she was nominated for Tree of Life. And even though I talk shit about Tree of Life,
her performance fantastic in Tree of Life.
I'm gonna use a word that I rarely use. She was flawless.
Yeah, she was flawless. Motherly love personified.
And even though that scene where she was mysteriously floating up a tree was really fucking stupid, I thought aside from that, everything she did, the way she moved, the way everything was just perfect. Again, Jessica Chastain and Bejo, they both have that thing where it's like it's such a physical role in a very subtle fashion. Well, not Bejo obviously was exaggerated and stuff, but it was that kind of athletic performance in a role that's just like, damn, like if I was a woman, I could not do that. Yeah. And but that was great. And
I agree.
Melissa McCarthy, I don't know what she's doing. I mean, she was great entertaining, but not Oscar great.
I don't know what she's doing there.
Well, whatever. I mean, I'm glad they give it to the fat chick because I don't think they get their due. All right, so no, they don't. Well, I guess Octavia Spencer's representing the two groups there, right? Three fat black women. That's
pretty much.
That's why she's gonna win probably. But again, a man can dream of Bejo. All right, so best performance by an actor in a supporting role. I think I have not seen this movie, but from the SAG Award indication, from the trailer alone, I got to give it to Christopher Plummer. Also, he's just a big tower of class. However, I will actually, even though I think Christopher Plummer is going to win, I hope that Nick Nolte wins, because I actually did see Warrior, and he was amazing in it. He was mind-blowingly amazing in it. And if you want to see awesome Nick Nolte in recent, you got to go see Luck on HBO. Although it's funny because I'm actually not going to see it because I'm watching the Oscars. Unless, what time does the Oscars start today?
I believe 7 or 8.
Yeah, early. Like not even. I think the pre-show starts at 6. I think it might.
Well, my vote is on John Travolta in Pulp Fiction.
Oh, that's great. That's very relevant.
Yeah, he, I still, I didn't watch the Oscars at that time, but I still feel that he should have taken that one. But regardless, I'm going with, actually, I kind of don't have a vote here. I don't know.
You can't not have a vote, bro.
It's just, I don't know.
7 p.m., by the way. Oscars tonight at 7 p.m. But you're not going to vote? You're just not going to vote?
No. I'm going to vote.
Just vote for Christopher Plummer. He's the easy bet.
I don't know. I'm going with Nick Nolte.
Oh, okay, great. Cool. Well, take it from me. It was one of the greatest performances of the year in terms of supporting role. However, I believe they're going to give it to Christopher Plummer.
Okay.
All right. So, moving on to
best performance by an actress in a leading role. Okay. We have Glenn Close for Albert Nobbs,
Viola Davis, Rooney Mara for the girl with the dragon tattoo, Meryl Streep for Iron Lady, Michelle Williams for My Week with Marilyn.
We can already scratch out Meryl Streep. She's not going to win it because, she basically at heart wins it every year.
Right, exactly.
It's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. This one to me is actually the one that I'm most confident in, believe it or not. I know, and it's not like it's 100% likely to happen, but I just know that Michelle Williams is going to win for her role as Marilyn Monroe.
I'm going to give it to Viola Davis, and this time, I don't think it's the minority card that's going to win. I actually thought she was great in it. I did not see all of the help, but I've seen that one scene that is what they're going to play at the awards when she says to Bryce Dallas Howard character that she's a godless woman, and she really says it with really conviction. And, man, seeing her accept the SAG award, I'm just like, you know what? Yes. It's a very subjective thing. I want her to win because I like her so much.
Yeah, I mean the chances are that she's going to win because she won the SAG.
It's more than that. The way she carried herself.
Give it to Michelle Williams because they've been nominating her. This is like the third time they nominate her. She's an up and comer. She's got a great future ahead of her.
Well, hardly up and comer. Michelle Williams has been in the business for years now. She's not the up and comer. If anything, Viola Davis is now the one just recently coming to the spotlight.
No, but up and comer in the sense that she's younger than Viola Davis, and she, she's in a lot of like indie movies, and Viola Davis goes for the kind of bigger roles. I mean,
only the past 5 years. That's it though, and that was still a small film in terms of scope.
Michelle Williams is like in Blue Valentine.
With Ryan Gosling, who's like the highest bullshit right now. I mean, not say he's bullshit, but you know what I mean.
I just feel very strongly about it because also, I mean, Michelle Williams is a beautiful girl, but Marilyn Monroe was considered one of the most beautiful women of all time, and she pulled it off.
Overrated.
She pulled it off.
First of all, Michelle Williams is hotter than Marilyn Monroe, and Michelle Williams is not even in my top 40. I'll tell you,
every single male listener that you just had right now is just gone. They just left.
Every gay listener is gone. I'm telling you, dude, if you actually, I don't know what it was. I think it's because there was nothing to compare it to, but she has basically layers and gunk of makeup that, I mean, physically, she's actually not the hottest girl. If you didn't have all this hype behind her, you probably wouldn't put her in the same top 100. However, what she is fantastic with is she draws the camera. She has great presence. She's like Marlon Brando, where I think his presence outweighs actual, performance skills.
Yes, she's like Marlon Brando, but just whiter with great tits, ass.
Really?
Face,
no.
Presence.
I'm telling you, man. Actually, see her. There's some pictures with her where that she doesn't have all like the ridiculous 7 layers of makeup.
But it's not. This might actually be weird for me to say. I don't usually say things like this, but. With Marilyn Monroe, it's also not just all about looks. It's
that's what I'm saying. I think
persona. She's so feminine.
Really,
she was so sexy at that time.
At the time, that's what I'm saying. Also, at the time, everyone just kind of has to agree because it's whatever. But objectively speaking, I don't think.
Well, that's where I disagree. I think if you if you look at a Marilyn Monroe picture today, you're like, wow, this girl could totally hold up, if not be one of the top.
No way, not in a million years,
today.
Dude. No way, no way.
You're in a minority, though. I hate to say it. You are in a minority, my friend.
That's how it's always been. All right, so best performance by an actor in a leading role.
So are we gonna kill each other like before, like I don't know, a couple more podcasts down the road?
No, this is great cast. This is great pod because this is what you represent the 99 and I'm the 1. No, I think that people are mostly fooled by the persona and the huge hype that follows her around. I think that if she was brought today, no, sorry, no.
I actually think that of Elizabeth Taylor.
Oh, I agree. Actually, well,
Elizabeth Taylor, like I've never heard so much. Like, oh my God, she was really.
It's women.
It's beautiful,
dude.
Woman
Here's how you do it.
Did you see those eyes?
If I broke into your fucking spank bank in your porn vault, I doubt I would find a single Marilyn Monroe anything. And why? Women and gays love Marilyn Monroe.
That I love. Okay, so I don't
understand.
Have a spank bank.
Okay,
There's
well,
no spank bank.
Whatever. BGF before girlfriend.
Me and my girlfriend after a good dinner
after
at a nice restaurant
or after a good fight. Listen, here's the thing.
That's so true. There's so much truth to that.
No, of course. Listen, you explore the spank banks of American males today from the ages of 15 to 35. You will not find a single Marilyn Monroe picture, and I'll tell you why.
16-year-old girls in front of a webcam.
Well, that's 18-year-old girls. Excuse me. No,
18-year-old girls that look like 16-year-old girls. Okay.
Listen, here's the thing. It's not just that. Even when you go into like retro porn, which I'm sure you'll find in some of these spank banks, you're not gonna find her because what I'm telling you is that she is hyped by women and gays, just like Liz Taylor, and just like basically all these like boy-looking tall models that you see in magazines today. They don't even look fertile because they're so goddamn thin, and they have like no curves to them. And that's what's happening with this country. It's pop culture-wise, it's being dictated by people who are not sexually motivated to approach what they're considering is the highest. You know what I mean? You look at all these high fashion magazines, and it's always women who look like basically really thin boys. And why? It's because it's the gays that are controlling that imagery, and I'm telling you, Marilyn Monroe fits in that, but for different reasons. It's that retro thing, and I'm not saying she's unattractive. I'm saying she's massively overrated, but that's actually more to you in terms of reasons why Michelle Williams will win because of America's fascination with Marilyn Monroe. And also another thing with Marilyn Monroe is, her whole Kennedy thing and her mysterious death. All that adds to the mystery of it all. And I mean, really, clearly she was manic depressant. Today, she was late for like every single like role. Like I heard another reason why I dislike Marilyn Monroe is because I'm approaching it from a director's perspective, and I kept reading shit about how she was such a huge fucking diva. She was a huge drug addict. She was late for all her shit. And there's actually a quote, I forgot who said it, but it's like, if my grandma was taking her role, she would show up on time, learn all her lines, and be a pro about it. But then again, millions of Americans wouldn't go to see her movie. So, it's whatever. I'm done bashing on Marilyn Monroe. I'm sure I'll be getting a lot of hate mail from both gays and women. Okay, so moving on. Best performance by an actor in a leading role. I'll go down the list, but I'm not sure why. Damien Bashir for A Better Life, George Clooney for The Descendants, Jean Dujardin or Jean Dujardin. Jean Dujardin for The Artist, Gary Oldman for Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, and Brad Pitt for Moneyball. My money is on Jean Dujardin, but I want Gary Oldman to win so badly because he deserves it for such a long career. And I hate when politics is the reason why somebody wins, but really, I think this time it should prevail because Gary Oldman just had the most stunning career. And I'm not just saying that because I'm obsessed with Batman and he played Gordon. I've always thought he deserved it for his performance in Leon the Professional or Immortal Beloved as Beethoven or it's just so many roles that he's in that was just fantastic. And how about you? But even though I want him to win, my money's on The Artist. Who do you think is going to win?
I want, and my money is on Jean Dujardin. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly.
I mean,
because, you know, French people already hate me by this point.
Yeah, right.
So, you know.
And then why bother? Jean Dujardin.
I mean, he
Jean Dujardin.
he like embodied everything of a silent film actor. He had the looks, the facial expressions, the body movements. He was an excellent dancer. He was just on it. He was great. He amazed everybody who watched the movie. That's one of the first things you talk about after you finish watching the movie. He won the SAG. So
I really think that he should get. Deal. I think he should get 2 Oscars, one for each eyebrow, and he.
I think the dog should get an Oscar. All right. Ugly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Definitely.
They should start with the animal roles because honestly,
dude, you know what? You know what we didn't talk about in Best Supporting Actor? Now that I'm thinking about it, James Cromwell as the driver. He should win for Best Supporting Actor. Way better than I didn't see Christopher Plummer, but I think he's gonna win in the beginners or the beginning. I'm not sure. Point is, James Cromwell.
James Cromwell in what?
The Artist. He plays the driver.
That's right.
He should have been nominated at least. He was
great. Yeah.
Oh my God, awesome. He was awesome. Him and I thought actually John Goodman was spectacular.
John Goodman was great.
You know what? He should have won for Best Supporting Actor. You know what? James Cromwell should have been nominated.
I don't think he had enough screen time.
Maybe not, but the few times he was in there, he outshined everybody.
It would have been like the lady from American Gangster.
Yeah.
That was just random.
She'll leave you.
It was like 4 minutes in the movie.
Yeah. But you know what, dude? You know who got very little screen time and won? Both Anthony Hopkins in Silence of the Lambs for Best Supporting Actor. I think he had a total of like 12 minutes of screen time. And the Judi Dench, who holds the record for winning the Oscar for the smallest amount of screen time. I believe she had like 8 or 7 minutes of screen time as Queen Elizabeth.
First of all, I don't think Anthony Hopkins only had 12 minutes. I really doubt it. I've seen the movie many times. He had to have had over 25 minutes.
We'll look it up, but it's
screen time.
It's startlingly low.
He was essential in the movie.
It was startlingly. What I'm saying is quality over quantity. That's my argument. So I think John Goodman's little screen time shouldn't play a factor because he acted his ass off, and I thought he was spectacular in The Artist. But
I guess it just wasn't so much of an Oscar role, if you know what I mean.
No, I agree.
Yeah, exactly. It would maybe have been a little random if you.
I mean, he's kind of the antagenist or plays the antagonist role, but not really. Yeah, he's the guy.
Not really.
No, he's
exactly.
no. You know what? I disagree. I think he does this. I think that was ripe for a nomination because he played the man between a rock and a hard place. I mean. You know, he was a slave to the business and to the people, but he also wanted to please the talent. And I thought that, if anything, a room full of producers should be able to appreciate that kind of thing. Where they by not portraying him as a cigar-smoking evil guy, even though I do believe he did smoke a few cigars, he wasn't. He definitely, they played a very sympathetic producer who could have been. He could have totally played it sleazy. They could have played him up more villainous, give him a thin mustache. They could have definitely gone that route, and nobody would have said anything. So I thought, in fact, I bet you the role on paper was more like that, but John Goodman made him more sympathetic, and man, I'm really disappointed that he wasn't at least nominated now that I think about it. But then again, there's disappointments all over the Oscars this year.
I mean, I don't think it was too much of a disappointment.
No, The Artist was a fantastic film. I love that it did. The small things is what I'm talking about, especially in terms of Moneyball, especially in terms of, for me personally, I thought Rise of the Apes deserved a lot more recognition than it got.
I'm gonna watch it now just to.
Dude,
I'll let you know my critique on it.
If anything, to have ammo
because I heard all year, oh wow, well Fast 5 was awesome. Fast 5 was great. It was the best Fast and Furious. The movie sucked.
Well, all Fast Furious movies suck. I actually thought the 5th one was the least shitty one of them all.
No, and the best part was that people would actually tell you like, oh, it was the best one of all of them, and it's like,
no, it's the least shitty.
What?
It's the least shitty. Yeah. No.
It's the best one of what? Absolute garbage. It's like that joke in Waiting. It's like being the coolest kid with Down syndrome.
It's the smallest tumor in the body. I agree. All right. So we're running out a little long here, so let's wrap things up. Obviously, Best Picture for The Artist. I'm not even going to bother going down the list, but I guess, I'll do it. All right. The Artist, The Descendants, Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close, The Help, Hugo, Midnight in Paris, Moneyball, The Tree of Life, War Horse. Even though I thought Hugo was a better movie experience, I believe The Artist is going to win, and it deserves the two. You know what? I put Hugo and The Artist as far as overall film. I put them on the same slot, but I think The Artist broke a few more grounds, so therefore I will give it to The Artist in both heart, mind, and wallet.
Okay. Well, I would go. My two favorite films were number 1, The Artist, and number 2, Moneyball.
Right.
I thought Moneyball was fantastic. Another year, I think Moneyball would have taken a lot of these awards actually.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, but I'm definitely going with The Artist. But I would like to say one thing. At first, I remember when I first saw that it was because it's 11. Hold on, 3, 6. No, there's 9 nominations, right?
There's only 9, and there was 10 last year, which means we had plenty of room for Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah,
go on.
At first, I didn't like that whole concept that they just choose what number they see fit. But looking back on it, it's actually a really good idea because then you're not constrained to the number of movies you have to pick. You know what I mean? When you had 5 films, it's like, okay, we have to find those 5. What if there wasn't 5 great films?
No, it's more like, what if there weren't great 10 films? There's always going to be at least great 7 films a year. If you're not looking at the right films.
There's going to be 8. And one year there might be, I don't know, like 12.
I was so upset that the 10 slot wasn't increased by 2009 just because I know The Dark Knight was snubbed out because of fucking Weinstein and the fucking Reader.
But at the same time, you got to look at it this way.
Blew my balls.
The Best Motion Picture of the Year nomination has turned into crap. It doesn't mean the same exact thing. Like
not to crap. Everyone nominated.
You have to be the motion picture nominee that also got nominated for director, writer, actors were nominated, or else it's not really the same thing. As before, you could be like, oh, well, that was a best film nominee, and it actually it held a little bit of prestige, but not anymore.
Right. Yeah. No.
So The Dark Knight were nominated for Best Motion Picture of the Year, although The Dark Knight was nominated for 8 Oscars.
Yes, but that's great for a comic book film, but shitty for the best film of that year, which I'm sorry it was.
Yeah, which is even weirder. The fact that it was nominated for 8 Oscars as a comic book movie. Why not just do what we all really wanted and nominate it for Best Director?
Because ultimately, it's the Martin Luther King of the comic book films. It had to get assassinated to you know what I mean? Like it to make that mark all the bigger disappointment.
Yeah, I guess, but at the same time, if you don't want to nominate it for Best Picture, I think that's fine. You don't want to nominate it for screenplay.
I'm telling you, it was purely back alley business. You have to nominate it for
director because it was the best directed film,
dude,
and definitely for a nomination. It was definitely worthy of a nomination. That was legit.
Nolan's too busy making movies instead of making back alley deals like Weinstein is. So that's just the sad truth of it all. But dude, if he doesn't get at least nominated for Dark Knight Rises, then something's gonna be wrong. Someone's gonna blow up. Someone's gonna get attacked.
It's gonna be Occupy Hollywood.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, thank you for stopping by through the airwaves.
Thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely, bro. It was pure delight.
Oh, yeah, we should probably pinpoint that we are not sitting or standing next to each other, and we're actually in 2 different cities.
Brought to you by Skype. Thank you so much.
Skype and Sony Vegas.
Yes, sir. And we urge you to go ahead and watch the Oscars today at 7 Eastern. I'd like to thank all of you guys for listening. And for Alonso, I am Jules saying hold fast and stay hard.